Aisha Malik stepped inside her small flat just as the late afternoon sun slipped behind the rooftops. She carried her lab bag in one hand and a cup of still warm tea in the other. The air smelled faintly of books and lavender, her two favorite comforts after a long day of experiments. She set the tea on the kitchen counter and turned toward the living room, expecting the usual scene of textbooks and a half-finished painting on the easel. Instead, her chest tightened as she saw something entirely new. A circle of soft blue light hovered in the center of the carpet. It shimmered like sunlight on water. Aisha blinked twice to make sure her eyes were not playing tricks on her. The light formed gentle waves and tiny flecks of silver drifted around its edges. It felt alive, as if it breathed. Her heart beat faster. She took one careful step forward, unwilling to believe what she saw, yet unable to look away. The blue glow pulsed once, twice, then slowly opened like a flower. From its center emerged a tall figure. It had long limbs and graceful joints that bent at unexpected angles. Its skin was smooth and pale green, faintly glowing under the fading daylight. Two large eyes, shaped like almonds and deep violet in color, took in the room with calm curiosity. The creature's hands were slender, with 5 fingers tapering into gentle points. It moved without sound, as if floating on air. Aisha's mind raced. She had read about theoretical portals and alien contact in her textbooks, but she never believed she would witness one herself. The figure gave a slight bow, its form reflecting in the window behind Aisha. The soft hiss of the portal closing filled the room. Then the light winked out, leaving only the newcomer standing in silence. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The only sound was Aisha's own breathing. Finally, the alien spoke. Its voice was smooth with musical echoes that reminded Aisha of chimes. "Greetings, Earth Dweller," it said in clear, accented English. "I am called Sinex of the Ilara species. My mission is to learn about human relationships. After scanning your life patterns, I have chosen you as my guide." Aisha's grip on her tea tightened so hard that the cup rattled on the counter. "You scanned me?" she stammered, trying to keep her voice steady. "How did you get my life patterns?" Sinex tilted its head, as if puzzled by her question. "Your public record of social data was available via global networks. Your kindness, empathy, and social bonds made you an ideal candidate." It stepped forward, raising one slender hand, in a peaceful gesture. "I mean no harm. I wish only to study how humans care for each other." Aisha swallowed. She felt a tingle of fear and fascination at the same time. This was beyond any scientific breakthrough she could imagine. She thought of her friends, her family back home, and wondered what would happen if news of this visit spread fast. She could call the authorities. She could even run away. Yet every instinct in her scientist's mind urged her to learn more. This encounter could change everything. "I need to think," she whispered, glancing toward the closed door. Sinex nodded slowly, its eyes reflecting genuine patience. "Of course. I will wait. I have time." The alien's calm response eased some of Aisha's tension. She noticed how softly it stood, how it seemed to respect the space between them. She set her tea aside and crossed her arms, gathering her thoughts. After a moment that felt longer than a minute, Aisha spoke again. "If you're really here to learn, then I can help, but you have to follow my rules. No scanning people without permission. No opening more portals in my home. And you must do your share of cleaning." Sinex's violet eyes brightened with what Aisha could only describe as delight. "Agreed," it said. "Please teach me." Aisha let out a shaky laugh. She looked around her flat, her easel, her stack of research notes, her small succulent that needed watering, and realized that her life was about to become something far more extraordinary than she had ever planned. A doorbell rang suddenly, startling them both. Aisha froze. Had someone seen the portal? Or was it just a neighbor returning from work? She took a deep breath. This was her chance to embrace the unknown. "Stay here," she said firmly to Sinex. Then she walked to the front door and opened it, Outside stood her neighbor, Mr. Patel, with a plate of freshly baked cookies in his hands. Aisha smiled broadly, raising an eyebrow in silent apology. As she invited him in, she realized that her ordinary evening had just become the first step of an adventure that would challenge her in ways she could not yet imagine. Aisha stood at her tiny kitchen counter, early the next morning, bleary-eyed and craving a strong cup of coffee. Across from her, Phoenix hovered more gracefully than any human could walk, its long limbs folded neatly in front of its chest. The alien's large violet eyes observed Aisha's slow preparations. Small tendrils of pale green light drifted from Phoenix's skin as it tried to mimic the comforting steam curling from her coffee mug. "Good morning, Earth Guide," Phoenix said in its soft musical voice. "I have slept in your guest pod as you instructed. Now I wish to learn your daily routine." Aisha turned, toothbrush halfway to her mouth. Guest pod was a euphemism she had chosen for her small fold-out couch. She swallowed toothpaste, foam, and cleared her throat. "Yes. Today we need to set some rules. Before we start any studies, you and me should agree on them." Phoenix nodded thoughtfully, its head tilting just slightly. "I wish to understand human boundaries. Please, teach me." Aisha paused to think. She wanted to cover every important point: privacy, chores, communication, and safety. She tapped her finger on the counter. "Okay, Rule 1. Do not scan anyone's mind without asking. You already broke that one yesterday." Phoenix's shoulders drooped. "Apologies. I did not realize scanning required consent. I will ask next. Time." "Good," Aisha said, relieved. She took a sip of coffee. "Rule 2. Keep portals closed unless we both agree. We cannot have interstellar travelers popping in unannounced." "I agree," Phoenix promised. It held out one slender hand which glowed more brightly than usual. "I shall show you with this gesture." Aisha smiled, curious how this simple promise could make her feel safer. Rule 3. You do your share of chores. Washing dishes, taking out the trash, watering my plants. Fair? Phoenix's lips curved into what Aisha guessed was a smile. "Fair. Last rule," Aisha said. "No experiments in my living room. If you want to test something, we go to my lab." Phoenix held up both hands. "Understood, lab only." Aisha put down her coffee mug. The rules were set. Now she hoped their work could begin. Breakfast was simple: cereal and fruit for Aisha, and a small bowl of water for Phoenix. Aisha poured cereal into her bowl, then glanced over to see Phoenix lean curiously forward. Its long fingers hovered above the flakes. "May I taste?" Phoenix asked. "Go ahead," Aisha said, intrigued. She watched as Phoenix dipped one pointed finger into the milk. It touched the cereal, then raised its finger to examine it. "Is it good?" she asked. Phoenix nodded, then placed the finger in its mouth. Suddenly the milk reacted and formed tiny glowing bubbles that floated upward. The cereal flakes drifted like little stars. In seconds, the entire kitchen filled with soft, floating spheres of milk and cereal, drifting toward the ceiling. Aisha's jaw dropped. "Oh no," she said, leaping to grab her coffee before it too could turn into floating foam. Phoenix looked surprised. "I did not expect this," it admitted. "My digestion enzymes are different. My biology reacts with earth milk." Aisha snapped her fingers. "Right. Different biology. So next time, try just a small taste before doing that." She gestured at the drifting cereal moons. Carefully, she scooped the floating spheres with her hands and guided them back into the bowl. Some stuck to the refrigerator door. Phoenix watched, silent and eager to help. "Don't worry," Aisha said with a light laugh, wiping milk from her sleeve. "No harm done, but let's clean up before you learn anything else at breakfast." They worked together, Phoenix sweeping the stray cereal from the floor with a slender broom, while Aisha collected the floating bubbles. Once the kitchen was spotless, they returned to the table. Aisha poured fresh cereal into a new bowl. Phoenix peered at the flakes. "May I observe without consuming?" "Please," Aisha said, relieved. You can watch my routine first. Then, maybe later we can figure out a suitable alien breakfast for you. As Aisha ate, Sinex asked questions. Why do humans drink coffee every morning? Why do you add sugar? What does it feel like? Aisha explained that coffee helped her wake up, that sugar made it sweeter, and that the warm taste gave her energy. With each answer, Sinex's eyes widened, and soft ripples of light pulsed across its skin. Aisha realized how fresh every simple, human habit felt when seen through alien eyes. Once breakfast was done, Aisha moved to her small desk and opened her lab notebook. Now, she said, let's talk communication. You speak English well, but you must learn tone and body language, too. If you bow that way, it means respect. If you step too close, people feel uncomfortable. Sinex practiced, leaning forward and bowing at different angles. Aisha offered gentle corrections. As the morning light shifted through the window, they formed a rhythm, Aisha teaching, Sinex learning with wide curie. Sheer's eyes. By the time Aisha closed her notebook, both of them felt they had taken a solid first step toward true understanding. Sinex exhaled softly. Thank you, Aisha. These lessons are valuable. Aisha smiled. We're just getting started. Tomorrow I'll take you into the city so you can see humans at work and play. Aisha waited at the corner of Maple Street and Elm Avenue, her backpack slung over one shoulder. Morning light danced across the sidewalk and the air smelled of fresh bread from the bakery next door. Sinex hovered beside her, its tall form bending to fit under the street lamp. The alien's violet eyes focused on every passerby, and tiny ripples of pale green light shimmered across its skin. Where are we going? Sinex asked in its gentle voice. Aisha smiled. We're going to my favorite cafe. You will meet some of my friends there. Sinex's head tilted. Friends. Yes. I wish to learn about friendship. Together they crossed the street and entered Beansprout Cafe, a small place with wooden tables and the warm scent of roasted coffee beans. A barista greeted them by name. Morning, Aisha. The usual? Aisha nodded. Yes, please. And could I get a green tea latte for my friend here? The barista glanced at Sinex's glowing skin and violet eyes, then nodded with a curious smile. Coming right up. They settled at a corner table. Aisha took out her notebook, filled with sketches and lists of questions she wanted Sinex to ask. She glanced at the door. Soon her best friend Marco would arrive. A few minutes later, Marco burst in, waving. He was tall and wore a bright red scarf. His cheerful grin faded when he saw Sinex sitting beside Aisha. Whoa, Marco said, pausing in the doorway. His scarf slipped as he stared. Aisha, is that? Aisha laughed softly. This is Sinex, my alien roommate. Marco recovered his composure. Nice to meet you, Sinex, he said, stepping forward. He held out a hand. I'm Marco. Sinex looked at Marco's outstretched hand, then made the same gesture, its slender fingers curving in a bow-like motion. Greetings, Marco. I'm honored to meet you, it said in its smooth voice. Marco's eyes widened. That is the coolest handshake I have ever seen. He sat down, draping his scarf over the chair. Soon, their drinks arrived. The barista set a steaming mug of black coffee in front of Aisha, and a cup of green tea foam in front of Sinex. Sinex dipped its finger into the foam, careful not to repeat yesterday's floating cereal incident. It tasted the tea and nodded slowly. Delicious, it said. Aisha introduced the next part. Marco, this is Sinex's first lesson on human friendship. I want you to act as you normally would, and Sinex will observe. Marco raised an eyebrow. You want me to just be me? Exactly, Aisha said. Then Sinex will ask questions. Marco shrugged and leaned back. Okay, I just got a promotion at the bookstore. Huge news. I wanted to tell you first, Aisha. Aisha's face brightened. Marco, that is amazing. Congratulations. She reached over and gave him a quick hug. Sinex watched carefully, its head tilted as if recording every detail. When they pulled apart, Phoenix asked, "Why did you hug your friend instead of shaking hands?" Aisha explained. "Hugs show closeness and happiness. We hug people we care about, especially when they share good news." Phoenix's eyes lit up. "I see. A hug is like a warm signal." Marco laughed. "That's right. It's like sharing warm energy." For the next half hour, they talked about Marco's new job, favorite books, and plans for the weekend. Aisha and Marco laughed easily and Phoenix listened, nodding. Then Phoenix spoke again. "Why do humans laugh when they feel joy? And why does your laughter ripple through the body?" Aisha and Marco exchanged amused looks. "It's just how our bodies react," Marco answered. "Laughter makes us feel good and shows others we are happy." Phoenix closed its eyes for a moment as if trying to feel the same reaction. Then unexpectedly it let out a soft sound, something between a hum and a giggle. Aisha and Marco both jumped, startled. "Is that your laugh?" Aisha asked, eyes wide. Phoenix's cheeks, if they could be called cheeks, flushed a shade, brighter. "I attempted laughter. I hoped to mimic the expression of joy." Marco clapped his hands. "Nicely done. That was perfect." Aisha smiled warmly. "You're learning fast." As the morning light shifted, the cafe filled with the gentle hum of conversation. Customers glanced at Phoenix from nearby tables, whispering and pointing. Aisha sensed that some people felt uneasy. She placed a hand on Phoenix's arm. "They're curious. Just stay calm." Phoenix nodded. "Your human friends may react unexpectedly, but your guidance helps me." After paying the bill, they stepped back onto the sidewalk. Aisha breathed in the fresh air. "So what did you learn about friendship today?" Phoenix paused, its violet eyes thoughtful. "Friendship involves shared happiness, trust, and physical signals, like hugs and laughter, that communicate care. But there is also an unspoken consent. I noticed that when Marco hugged you, you both moved closer willingly." Aisha nodded. "Yes, consent is important." Phoenix's form glowed softly. "I understand. A friendship grows from mutual respect and kindness." Aisha smiled at how carefully Phoenix spoke. "Exactly. And sometimes friends disagree, but they work through it." Phoenix's eyes widened. "I look forward to that lesson too." They walked down the street side by side, one human and one alien, both feeling a new sense of connection. Aisha thought about how much she had taken her friendships for granted. Seeing them through Phoenix's eyes made everything feel fresh and full of wonder. As they reached the corner where they had met, Phoenix stopped and looked at Aisha. "Thank you, Earth Guide. Today's lesson in friendship was enlightening." Aisha grinned. "Tomorrow you'll learn about human family. That's a whole new level." Phoenix's face lit up. "I am ready." Aisha rang the doorbell of her family home on Friday evening and took a deep breath. The warm light through the windows and the smell of spices made her heart feel full. She had never invited an alien to meet her parents before, but tonight felt right. Phoenix floated behind her, its pale green skin glowing softly in the dusk. Her mother, Saira Malik, opened the door with a bright smile. "Aisha, darling, you're home early." Her father, Imran Malik, stood behind her, holding a platter wrapped in foil. He blinked twice when he saw Phoenix, then recovered with an embarrassed cough. Hello," he said. "You must be our guest?" Phoenix inclined its head politely. "Greetings, Saira Malik and Imran Malik. Thank you for welcoming me into your home." Its voice was calm and melodic. Her mother stepped aside to let them in. Come in, come in. You're most welcome. We've prepared biryani, samosas, and chai." Aisha's cheeks warmed as she realized how normal her parents acted. In the dining room, a large wooden table held dishes passed down through generations. Steam rose from a pot of rice. Samosas rested in a woven basket. The walls had family photos. Aisha as a child, laughing with her cousins, her parents on their wedding day. Sinax floated beside the table, staring at every detail, its violet eyes reflecting the candlelight. Aisha gestured to a seat. Mom, Dad, this is Sinex. It's here to learn about human family. Her father nodded slowly. Yes, we know. Aisha told us. He cleared his throat. We are happy to have you. Sinex offered its slender hand. Thank you, Imran Malik. They began to eat. The biryani was fragrant with cinnamon and cardamom. Saira poured chai into small cups and passed one to Sinex. The alien's glowing fingers curled around the warm cup. It sipped carefully and closed its eyes in appreciation. This is delicious, Sinex said. Your family cooking carries warmth and memory. Saira smiled. Food is love in our family. They ate. Sinex observed the family's small rituals, the way Imran offered Aisha more rice, how Saira asked about Aisha's day, and how Aisha thanked them both. To Sinex, every gesture was data, every glance a lesson. After the main course, Saira placed a big bowl of fruit on the table. Sinex reached out, its fingers pausing over a bright orange slice. May I sample? Please, Saira encouraged. Sinex tasted the fruit and paused. The sweetness caused a faint ripple of light over its skin. This orange, it bursts with sunlight. Aisha laughed. That's a good description. A soft silence fell. Then Sinex spoke in its calm tone. I wish to try one more thing. May I? It hesitated, then softened its voice. May I link minds with your daughter's mother? Aisha froze. Her heart thumped. Later, Sinex had asked and gotten permission from Aisha to link minds, but she had not thought it would. Try again so soon. Imran's eyebrows shot up. Saira looked curious but cautious. Link minds, Saira repeated. It is a way to share thoughts and feelings, Sinex explained. It would help me understand the bond between mother and daughter. Aisha swallowed, then nodded. Mom, it's okay. Saira placed her hand on Sinex's. I trust you, Sinex, but please be gentle. Sinex's glow softened. It closed its eyes and reached out with a mental touch. At first, Aisha and Saira heard only soft silence. Then Aisha sensed memories. Her first steps, her mother's laughter, advice whispered late at night. She felt Saira's pride when Aisha got into university, her quiet worry when Aisha moved away for labs. She felt a gentle wave of love that the Alara word could not capture, but then Sinex's mind link slipped. It touched on a memory Saira did not intend to share, her fear that Aisha might never come home again. Saira's worry about empty nest and far-off space research unfolded in Aisha's mind like a hidden door. Saira pulled back, eyes wide. Oh, she whispered. Sinex's glow flickered with apology. I am sorry. I did not mean to uncover pain. Aisha reached for her mother's hand. Mom, it's okay. I know you worry. Imran set aside his fork and bowed his head. Saira, we must share our fears. That is part of family. Saira nodded, tears in her eyes. You're right. She looked at Sinex kindly. Understanding pain can bring us closer. Sinex exhaled softly. I have learned that human empathy means sharing both joy and sorrow. Aisha smiled through her own tears. Exactly. They sat together in a quiet circle at the table. The only sound was the clock, gently ticking. Then Saira cleared her throat and gave a small laugh. Well, Sinex, you are certainly thorough in your research. Everyone laughed, and the tension broke like sunlight through clouds. Sinex joined the laughter, producing its soft hum of amusement. Later, as they helped clear the dishes, Sinex observed the way Aisha's family worked together without words. Plates were rinsed, food scraps collected, and counters wiped clean. Each person moved with consideration for the others, trusting that chores done in love were part of their bond. When Aisha and Sinex walked back to the flat under a sky full of stars, Sinex spoke softly. Thank you, Aisha. Your family taught me about unconditional love and trust. I understand now that family is not just blood, it is care, shared memories, and honest feelings. Aisha squeezed Sinax's hand. You learned well. Tomorrow we face a new challenge, work and cooperation in the lab. Sinax's violet eyes glowed with anticipation. I am ready, Earth Guide. And so, under the gentle glow of streetlights, two friends, one human, one alien, took another step together on their journey of discovery. Aisha entered her small bioengineering lab the next morning with Sinax floating quietly beside her. The lab smelled of metal and chemicals. Rows of glass beakers and machines lined the counters. Aisha adjusted her safety goggles and placed a petri dish under a microscope. Sinax watched every detail, its violet eyes reflecting the tiny living cells on the glass slide. Today I will show you how we grow new tissue, Aisha said, pointing to a row of flasks. These cells help us study medicine. Sinax nodded, keen to learn. Aisha tipped a flask to pour its contents into a sterile dish. She placed it under the glass dome of the growth incubator. The machine hummed softly. Now we wait 2 hours, she explained. Sinax drifted over to a microscope. May I observe on my own? It asked. Yes, Aisha agreed. Just be careful. The lenses are delicate. Sinax peered through the eyepiece with intense focus. While Sinax studied the cells, Aisha cleaned the counters. She wiped away footprints and stray droplets of media. Suddenly, the incubator beeped loudly. Aisha rushed back. One of the flasks had cracked, and a thin purple vapor escaped in a hiss. Containment breach, Aisha said, alarm rising. She pressed the emergency button on the wall. Red lights flashed. The lab sealed itself. A voice announced, "Lockdown in progress. Please stand by." Sinax hovered near the cracked flask. Is this dangerous? It asked. The vapor swirled toward them. Aisha grabbed her data pad. It could harm you. My cells are safe, but this reaction is unexpected. She tapped commands on the pad. The lab's ventilation kicked in. Fans whirred as air flowed from the room into a special filter. Sinax gasped, then backed away. The purple mist thinned and vanished. Aisha exhaled in relief. The filter worked, she said. She placed a visor over Sinax's face, just in case. Sinax nodded, glowing faintly under the plastic shield. For several tense minutes, they waited in silence. The lab's lights flickered. Sinax drifted close to Aisha. I am sorry, it said softly. I should not have touched the equipment. Aisha turned to face Sinax. It was an accident, she said gently. We both learn from mistakes. But she saw fear in Sinax's eyes. Are you all right? She asked. Sinax's skin pulsed with a slow green glow. I felt fear, similar to your own. It reminded me of my time in the border wars of my world. We hid underground for many cycles. We lost friends. The memory. It is painful. Aisha placed a hand on Sinax's arm. I had no idea. I'm sorry you went through that. Sinax looked away, then back at her. Your kindness gives me strength. Aisha smiled. Earth has its own fears. I once lost a friend in a lab accident. I was terrified to return, but I learned that healing comes from cooperation and trust. Sinax's glow grew steadier. Then I will trust you. It offered a slender hand. Aisha took it. Their fingers touched briefly through the visor. A wave of calm passed between them. The lockdown ended. A soft chime rang, and the door hissed open. Aisha released the visor. We should report the incident and repair the incubator. Sinax nodded. I will help. Together, they filled out a digital report. Sinax described the breach with precise detail. Aisha added notes about safety protocols. The incident would help improve future designs. By noon, the lab was back in operation. Aisha placed a new flask in the incubator. Sinax held the visor in one hand and watched as the machine hummed steadily. As they cleaned up, Sinax spoke. Your patience and calm saved us both. Thank you for guiding me. Aisha shook her head. You guided me too. Your honesty helped me face my own fears. Sinex's eyes shone with warmth. I have learned that cooperation means sharing both tasks and feelings. Aisha smiled. Exactly. Tomorrow I will show you how humans play to relax. That is another important part of life, Sinex bobbed gently. I look forward to it, Earth Guide. Aisha woke early on Saturday, sunlight trickling through her curtains. Today's lesson would be about play and emotion, two sides of human life that Sinex had not yet fully experienced. As she brewed coffee, she saw Sinex standing by the window, its violet eyes watching the birds outside. Good morning, Earth Guide, Sinex said softly. Morning, Aisha replied, pouring 2 mugs. Today I want to try something new. A relationship simulator. It's a small program I wrote to help you practice human emotions in different situations. Sinex floated closer. A simulator? Please explain. Aisha led Sinex to her desk, where a sleek tablet rested beside a pair of lightweight goggles. These are emotion goggles, she said. They will show you simple holograms. You will practice empathy, trust, and care with virtual humans. It's safe and fun. Sinex's skin glowed brighter. I am ready to learn. Aisha handed Sinex the goggles and guided its slender fingers over the controls. First scenario, comforting a friend who feels sad. The holographic scene flickered to life on the table. 2 virtual figures stood under a gray sky. One held its head low, tears falling in silent streams. Sinex watched intently. What should I do? Approach gently, Aisha instructed. Offer a hand on their shoulder. Use a calm voice. Sinex moved its hand forward, placing it lightly on the hologram's shoulder. I am here for you, it said in its melodic tone. A soft glow pulsed from the sad figure's form and the tears slowed. Your touch calms me, the hologram whispered. Aisha smiled. You did well. Comfort is about being present and kind. Sinex removed the goggles. I felt warmth in my sensors. I think I understand comfort. Great, Aisha said. Next, expressing gratitude. She tapped the tablet and the hologram shifted. A second friend handed a small package to the first figure. The figure opened it, a virtual book of poetry, and its face brightened. Sinex put the goggles back on. The scene reset. You practice by saying thanks and showing happiness. Sinex spoke. Thank you for this gift. I appreciate your thoughtfulness. Bright light spread across the hologram's form. Perfect, Aisha said. Now one more. Friendship surprise. The simulator showed a blank room. Aisha whispered. Leave a small gift for your friend, then watch their reaction. Sinex drifted into the virtual room and placed a tiny holographic flower on a table. Moments later, the friend figure entered. It paused, then smiled and hugged the flower. Sinex felt a gentle pulse of light in its core. They are delighted, it said. Aisha removed the goggles and clapped softly. See how small a CTS can build connection? Sinex nodded. I see. They paused for lunch. Sandwiches for Aisha, a custom nutrient gel for Sinex. As they ate, Sinex asked, Why do humans play games? Aisha thought. Play helps us relax. It builds bonds. It teaches us teamwork and creativity. Then let us play, Sinex suggested. What game shall we try? Aisha grinned. Let's keep it simple. Charades. She explained the rules. Act out a word without speaking, and the other guesses. Sinex's eyes lit up. I will go first, it said. Sinex stretched its long limbs and pantomimed brushing teeth, scrubbing the air with one hand, opening its mouth wide. Aisha guessed, brushing your teeth. Sinex bowed gracefully and its skin pulsed in celebration. Aisha's turn. She mimed a bird, flapping arms, hopping. Sinex watched, then tilted its head. Flying, it asked. Aisha shook her head, then mimed sitting on a branch and singing. Singing bird? Sinex exclaimed once it guessed. They laughed together, the room ringing with joy. Sinax's laughter, a soft ripple of light and sound, filled the air. Aisha felt pure delight in teaching and learning together. As the afternoon waned, Aisha brought out one final hologram, a scene of two friends arguing over a toy. The goal was to practice conflict resolution. Sinax put on the goggles and approached. Tentatively, it spoke calmly. "I am sorry you feel upset. Can we share?" The figures paused, then nodded and began to play together. Aisha removed the goggles and stood. "You handled that very well. You showed empathy, kindness, and cooperation." Sinax's violet eyes glowed. "These exercises have taught me much about human emotion. I feel connected." Aisha smiled warmly. "Emotions make us who we are. They help us build deep bonds." Just then, Sinax's communicator glowed on the desk. A soft chime rang. Sinax looked at Aisha, its expression serious. "I have received a message from my homeworld. They request an immediate debrief of my findings." Aisha's heart fluttered. "A debrief? Today?" Sinax nodded slowly. "Yes. I must decide whether to return or continue my studies." Aisha placed a hand on Sinax's arm. "You've come so far. Whatever you choose, I'm proud of you." Sinax glanced out the window at the setting sun. "I must reply." It activated the communicator. Light spread across its form as it began to transmit. Aisha watched, knowing this moment could change everything. And somewhere between Earth's bright sky and the distant stars, Sinax weighed the value of duty against the new bonds it had formed. Bonds it would carry into any future, on any world. Sinax's form shimmered in the soft lamplight as the final pulses of its homeworld's message faded. Aisha stood quietly by its side, her heart pounding. The small flat felt suddenly vast, filled with the weight of decisions and the promise of new beginnings. The communicator's glow dimmed. Sinax turned, its violet eyes steady. "I have considered the request from Ilara Prime," it said in its melodic voice. "They wish for me to return for analysis and to share my reports." It paused, then added, "But my experiences here have changed me. I have learned that human relationships are rich, full of empathy, and built on trust. I wish to remain on Earth." Aisha felt relief and joy wash over her. She smiled and reached out to take Sinax's slender hand. "Then stay," she said softly. "You're part of my life now." Sinax's skin glowed brighter, and it bowed its head in gratitude. "Thank you, Earth Guide," it replied. "I request permanent residency to continue my studies, and to be your friend." Aisha laughed lightly, tears of happiness in her eyes. "I'll help you get the paperwork started," she promised, "but first let's celebrate." She hurried to her small kitchen and gathered candles, fresh flowers, and a tin of spicy snacks. Sinax hovered curiously, its long fingers tracing the petals of a daisy. By evening, the flat glowed with warm light. Aisha had invited her friends Marco and Sarah, as well as a few neighbors who had grown curious about her alien roommate. Potted plants lined the walls, and the air smelled of jasmine and roasted chickpeas. Sinax floated near the center of the room, its presence both gentle and noble. As guests arrived, they paused at the door to look at Sinax. Some hesitated, then smiled when Aisha introduced her friend. "This is Sinax," Aisha said. "It's staying on Earth to learn about us." Visitors nodded, some offering flowers, others simply greeting Sinax with respectful bows. Sinax returned every greeting with a soft hum and a polite inclination of its head. Dinner was a simple but vibrant affair. Syra brought homemade curry and rice. Marco carried fresh naan bread. A neighbor offered vegetable spring rolls. Aisha placed dishes on the low table, and Sinax helped arrange cups and plates with its precise, graceful movements. When everything was set, Sinax floated to the center and spoke in its clear voice. "Thank you all for coming," it began. "Your kindness has shown me the best of humanity. I have learned about friendship, family, work, and joy. Tonight, I wish to share my first Earth meal with you in celebration of our bond." Its words, though simple, carried deep warmth, They ate and talked, laughter filling the small flat. Sinax sampled each dish carefully, its violet eyes widening at new flavors. When someone complimented the mango chutney, Sinax asked, "What gives it this bright taste?" Aisha explained the fruit's sweetness mingled with spices, and Sinax nodded, its glow pulsing in delight. After dinner, Aisha brought out a small device that played soft music. She tapped it on, and gentle melodies, part human folk song, part cosmic hum, filled the room. Marco began to whistle along, and Sarah tapped her foot. Sinax closed its eyes and swayed, learning the rhythm. Soon, the others joined in, clapping and moving to the beat. The music became a bridge between worlds. As the evening wound down, Aisha lifted her glass of tea and called for attention. "To Sinax," she said, "who reminds us that our bonds make us strong, no matter where we come from." Everyone raised their cups. Sinax bowed deeply, then raised its own cup of jasmine tea. Its voice rang clear and hopeful. "To humanity, your empathy, your kindness, and the home you have shown me." They drank, and a cheer rose in the small flat. Later, as guests departed under the starlit sky, Marco lingered. "You two make a great team," he said. "I've never seen anything like this." Sinax smiled, its skin glowing softly. "Thank you, Marco," it replied. "Your friendship means much to me." When the door closed, Aisha and Sinax stood together in the quiet room. Aisha picked up a small photo from her desk, an image of her and her family on a sunny day. She handed it to Sinax. "Here," she said, "a little piece of earth to keep." Sinax took the photo with gentle fingers, its eyes bright. "I will cherish this," it promised. As midnight approached, Sinax prepared to return to its guest pod, the fold-out couch where it had first slept. It paused at the threshold, turning to Aisha. "You have taught me more than any database could. You have shown me the heart of humanity. I thank you, my friend." Aisha smiled and hugged Sinax's slender form.
"And you've shown me the wonder of looking at my own world with fresh eyes," she said. They parted for the night, each feeling a profound sense of connection. Aisha closed the flat door and stepped onto the small balcony to breathe in the
cool air. Sinax floated beside her, both looking out at the city lights. In that moment, they knew that no matter how far one traveled, it was the bonds between hearts that truly made a home. And somewhere beyond the stars, on the world of Elara Prime, a report glowed with new insights. Human relationships are the galaxy's greatest treasure. The title of the document was simple: "To Humanity with Gratitude."